So Oddco is kind of what got you into being able to do the Chris Burkmenn experience. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, it did. When we were doing CMT Hot 20 Countdown, we were working with audience, and it was about August. We saw a slight decline in numbers for our audience, and when we did, we, as a team, came together. It was Mama Sue, Misty, my coworker, which she's amazing, and myself, and we thought, and Brandon, but he wasn't, he had another job at the time, so he wasn't as involved at this moment. But so when we came together, we thought, what can we do to increase our numbers? And so we thought, well, let's have a lunchtime performance, by an artist from Nashville. And my coworker said, well, why don't you put it online and why don't you interview them? And we could call it Lunch with Chris Burkmenn. I love it. I think it's great. So I talked to my boss about it, and she said, I think it's great, but I don't like Lunch with Chris Burkmenn. Let's call it the Chris Burkmenn Experience. And so I thought, great. I mean, I'm completely glad that you're on board with it, and I'm liking the title, and so it's been really great. I've really enjoyed it. It taught me a lot about life and a lot about what I want to do.
Cool. Had you ever thought of? I know you have done acting in the past, but had you ever really thought about hosting before then?
I had taken a class back in 2010. I grew up a huge fan of Carson Daly, and I also watched CMT and watched their video countdown. And Lance Smith was taking a class, or teaching a class in Franklin at Alan Dysard's School of Acting, and he taught it. And when we were there, I just really was comfortable on camera, and I really enjoyed hosting, because I used to pretend, I know this sounds so crazy, when I was a kid I used to pretend I was Carson Daly in my mirror, and just, this, welcome to TRL, and so when I did that, I just got really comfortable being in that place. And so when I took that class, just was really confident, and he just gave me some great feedback and said, I think you're really good at what you do, I think you stand a chance, and I think just don't give up. Look for opportunities. Look for ways. Because I really wanted to work for CMT as a host. That was my dream. And I think, it's still, I love CMT. It's one of my favorite networks. But, I think the web is just definitely the way of the future. So I really love hosting online.
Yeah. Cool. So the concerts for the audience kind of stopped after a little while, but you kept the show going. Like, was there ever a time when you're kind of like, oh, well, maybe we'll be done with this? Or after you started, you're always like, nope, this is what I'm doing?
Well, we did the first one, which was Candy Carpenter, and she performed. But we, obviously we had a live audience, but we couldn't tape it because it just didn't sound right, and we didn't have the equipment. And, the second one was Jen Bostic, and she did a performance. Still didn't sound right, but the interview just was such a great product. I was so proud of that interview, and when we did that, I was convinced that I was where I was supposed to be, I was doing what I was supposed to be doing, and also even opposition comes when you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. So I knew that if I was facing opposition, then I was obviously going in the right direction, and I still feel that way. So, so yes, but
Awesome.
yeah.
Very cool. You talked in one of the other interviews that you have, that you've done as well, about this kind of overcoming obstacles and insecurities, and from like when you were a kid and moving to Nashville and everything here too. Are there any things that have helped you kind of get through that?
Yes, I've had quite a few things. God has definitely helped me so much. The Word. Definitely my rock is the Word and my church. I'm so thankful for my church and the Word, and I think also just people around me. I think you can learn a lot from people and learn a lot from their mistakes, and I'm in love with studying people, because I'm like, okay, how did they overcome this obstacle? How did they do this? And so that has been definitely, but the Word is such an important thing in my life, and I didn't grow up as a Christian. I did. We were Catholic, and I went to PSR, but I didn't even know what the Bible was. I didn't even know what Jesus did for me. And I went every week, but I think you have to find it for yourself. And that was just definitely an encouraging place for me. So, and I think, people should find that encouraging place, whatever it may be. For me it was the Lord, but for other people it's so different for everybody else, So.
So on your show, you interview a lot of people that are kind of up and coming in Nashville, and you say that you won't just randomly have someone on there, it's someone that you need to know. So how do you find out about these people and go about the process of getting them on there?
Well, we've done a lot of different avenues for that. When we first started, there was a lot of people that we knew and a lot of people that we believed in. Candy Carpenter we knew through Misty, and she had a relationship through Dolly Parton because her manager at the time, I don't know if it still is, but at the time it was Dolly Parton, so I'm assuming it is still. And so that was one, and then we also, Jane Bostic was another one that was a really good friend of mine. She went to my church, and I heard her voice, and I thought, definitely need to have her on, and so she's definitely been a good friend of mine. But we've also went through PR firms. I liked that avenue. I didn't love it because the artist doesn't really know who you are, and they don't really know what you're doing, so it's not always easy for them to get behind the support because they think you're just interviewing them because that's what you do. And for us, it's not just an interview, it's us coming alongside the artist and investing in them. And Elizabeth Lyons was one we did find through PR firm, and she's been a great friend, and I'm just really excited to see her career taking off right now. And Twitter has been another huge avenue, and Ainsley Britton we found through her. She's got such a great heart and such a great drive. She does Unveiled campaign and interviews people who've struggled with eating disorders and different things, and just really makes videos to help empower people. And just the heart that she had was really cool because she's young and not everyone cares about those things, right. But I think it's cool that she does. And Carly Pierce was another one we found through Twitter, and she was definitely I didn't even know about her. I had kind of seen her and heard of her, but never really, Carly Pierce. But when we did have her on, it was just one of those moments where I love what I do, because she's just a phenomenal talent, and she's just brought so many people to the show, and I've been very grateful for her.
Awesome. Yeah. So you've recently branched away, like you were initially doing music, and now lots of different people, like Ainsley, and you had Misty Hale and everything. Was that a conscious thing that you decided to do, or is kind of seeing that lots of people have stories?
Well, when we started, I didn't know. I knew where I wanted to go. I knew I loved artists, but Mandy Hale is such a good friend of mine. She is a single woman, and she is a writer. And when we were talking, I just said she was one of the first supporters of my web show. She would tweet about it and just was so nice, because she's got 600,000 followers. So a tweet from her was like, whoa, it was really generous for her to tweet. And so when she did that, I thought, I need to have her on. There's such an audience, such a niche that she's filling that's being untapped before her. And so that was where I really thought, why not? I've had some people that message me and have asked to be on who do things that are kind of similar but very far off from it, and I'm hesitant because I'm if they're not really from Nashville, or if they're not really a part of the Nashville community, I'm hesitant because that's what keeps us, Nashville is the heart of the show, and so.
So even with your goals to have the show go national, were you still planning on keeping it local to Nashville?
I would love to keep it to Nashville. I would love for the people, because it's crazy how many people have a connection with Nashville. Because, Lancifer we had on is in LA, but he has been here for years. He was here before he moved there, so he had a tie, and each person somehow, so as long as they, love Nashville, the community, and I like to say invested, but I would really like to keep this show to that, because I think it's just, if we're only promoting major artists, where would be room for the small artists? How would they be groomed? How would they be prepared for what I believe is next, So.
Very cool. So a lot of the artists that you have, like you were talking earlier about just kind of seeing, being excited to see them rise to success. What do you think makes a difference between an artist that might be really good versus another one that has a lot more success?
I think the difference is a lot of the times branding. I know that sounds so silly because we're in a time where branding is everything, and you're branding constantly. And Twitter is a way to help you build your brand, and Facebook and YouTube. So I always, lately people will come up to me and just say, I really like what you do. How do I get there? and I give it to even the artists, is what can you do where you are? How can you make, your dreams start happening now? Because if you're waiting for your dreams to come true, you're never going to get there. Because it's, okay, when I get there. No, it doesn't need to be when you get there. It needs to be, what can I do now? So.
Yeah, and there's so many, even just trying to get to other places, like people fall so much trying to get there, and it's really easy to get discouraged about it. And that's one of the things you kind of talk about, like, a lot, is just keeping up encouragement. So do you feel that through the show that you're doing and the community that you're creating, that it's kind of helping encourage people to get to the goals that they want to have?
I think so. I think with the show, we're a pioneer. We're pioneering because it's something that's never been done before. And if it has, there's shows that do similar to what we do, but we're empowering the artists. So we're pioneering the way, and I think people really need that pioneer, because when you have that person that's leading the way, you think, wow, they took that step. They did that first. Then I can start what I need to do. I'm a host, but there are singers, there are writers, there are actors who I think can all take that example and move forward, because it's not scary when someone else has done it, and we need those people to go before us, because if they don't, a lot of people will never go.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people that when they talk about success and why they think they get there, like, they always talk about their team, and a lot of people that haven't got there that far, like, they don't understand quite the importance of having that support and everything. So
it's so true. With the show, we have so many people that have helped with this show and that believed in the CBEX, the Chris Burkmenn experience. And I could not. I just host. I just interview. Without them, it would just be me talking in a room,
Yeah.
And from the people that help with the videos, Andy Burchett, he shoots and he puts the time in setting the cameras together, kind of like Tom. and we have Allison Getty, and she edits, which, oh my gosh, such a gift. And Courtney Roman was helping, and she's been a huge attribute. And we also have a gentleman named Cameron that helps edit, because that's so tedious, as you know editing can be. And so those people, and Lauren, she helped with my 25 Days of Ellen. She's been a huge part in helping with the Chris Burkmenn experience. And I think you too, as you go through things, you kind of learn who is the right fit, who's not a right fit, who maybe needs to go forward in another direction, not with you, and that's not saying that they're a bad person, it's just, it didn't fit, you're not a right fit for what we're doing. And so anyone that has helped, I only have best wishes and good thoughts to them. So.